Welcome, welcome, welcome again to another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. I'm your host, Lionel McDonald. So it's been a crazy week, with sports and obviously in the music industry. Thoughts are still with the Buffalo Bills, obviously Damar Hamlin and what transpired on Monday night. And this is why, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing a Bills jersey. It's my late father's Bills jersey. His favorite player was Bruce Smith. So, wishing him a speedy recovery. It was great to hear that he actually woke up yesterday and the first question he asked was who won the game. So things are actually moving in the right direction with him. So pretty amazing. But what brings us back to the pod? It's the first pod of 2023. So happy New Year to everyone. But we have a special guest, Philip Santos. Many people know from many circles around the city of Toronto. Phil, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Lionel. Appreciate you having me, man.
All right. So, Phil, we kind of talked about a variety of different things. And really we kind of have some history. We both worked at Foot Locker at one point. Many people know I'm still there. I've been there for 27 years now since I was a part-time. But we always love to start when we have a guest on, and we know your love of sneakers and your passion for the game of basketball. But where did your sneaker love kind of start?
Well, to be honest, it started right around the time I was in, I can't pinpoint the grade, but I was definitely in grade school. And for me, it was, growing up as a young kid in the 90s, it was all about Mike. It was Michael Jordan. And at the same time, this was a really important time in sneaker culture and in history when you're seeing how they were becoming more of a casual piece, more of a fashion accessory than just an on-court thing. So I think seeing Mike do amazing things in, the dunk competition in the threes and breaking the rules in the ones. I'm kind of scattered in the years here, but seeing him do amazing things on the court and then seeing the shoes transcend into fashion with rappers are wearing them, actors are wearing them, just people that I saw as a kid as cool and incredible. That's kind of what got me into really wanting to learn more, wanting to have them, of course.
Yeah, I definitely think about those days, and many people don't realize if you didn't grow up in the 90s, you probably missed out. So
Times.
You mentioned Mike, obviously. So I can't pinpoint. You can kind of tell me, but you seem, just based on what you post and of what I've seen you wear, you have a tremendous passion for the Jordan brand. Are there certain models that you kind of favor over another, or what was kind of like that gateway shoe that kind of got you started when we looked at the Jordan brand?
Yeah, it was I know you've been around, you said 20 plus years with Foot, so I know you remember this. So in 2000, when the Concords were first retro, I saw them and I was like, and of course, retail price, MSRP, was a lot lower back then than it is now.
Facts.
Even back then, I was so young and I was like, oh, I want those, the Concord 11s. But I passed on them because they were a little too much. They were a little out of my budget at the time. They came and went. I kicked myself. And then I think the very next holiday season, I got the Bred 11s. And for me, that was one of the shoes that the 11 basically is what kind of got me really into this deep spiral that we're in 20 odd years later. Because I mean, aside from him wearing, the Space Jam 11s, I think there was a lot of great moments in the 11. I remember those iconic commercials with Ray Allen, Mary J. Blige. There was so many cool moments, and I just love that shoe, and that was a shoe that kind of got me kind of into where we're at 20 something odd years later. But then, like a lot of other people, my favorite Jordan changed. It might be the 1 for a bit, it might be the 3 for a bit, kind of it bounces back and forth. But I'd say lately, 3s have been really great for me, and anything low cut, to be honest with you.
Okay.
A lot of 1 lows. I tried to wear a pair of 12 lows, which of course have not been around for many years, so it's obviously an
No.
older pair, and my sole started separating, so that was kind of dead in the water pretty quickly. But right now, it's like threes, ones, and anything low cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sleeper one for me is Jordan 2 lows, and we're gonna see a ton of those in
Mm-hmm.
23.
Mm-hmm.
Although
Mm-hmm.
that, hey, they tried to align the Jordan 2 with 2022, you're gonna see a ton of Jordan 2s. Like I counted, they posted it on some sneaker app. There's like at least double digit pairs of twos coming out next year. So
Wow.
and
Okay.
half of them are lows. So we're gonna see a ton of lows happen
All
in
right.
2023. So
I'm not
something to
mad at
look
that.
forward to.
For
So
sure.
we know that here in Toronto and in Canada the weather is not great. At the best of times, we've seen a deep freeze, we've seen a foot and a half of snow. We're now in the midst of, you think it's Vancouver with how much it's rained as of late, the last couple of days. But what's
Yep.
in the winter rotation? What do you end up wearing in this kind of climate at this time of year?
I've been wearing kind of, knock on wood, it hasn't really snowed too much,
Yeah.
in Toronto in the GTA. So I've been able to get away for like the last month or two. I've still been wearing sneakers. Like I've been wearing the um Tom Sachs general purpose shoe like a lot, like all summer into the winter. Another pair that's like in my daily is the Sakai waffle. Um, yeah, I've been wearing sneakers to be honest. Before, like years ago, it might have been like um, some Tims or the Nike boots, but lately I've just been getting away with sneakers, and I
Yeah.
find it more comfortable to be honest.
No, totally agree. Unless there's like true snow and I need to shovel it, then I'm not ready to sacrifice a shoe. I'm definitely wearing sneakers. And if you think of Canada Got Sold kind of countdown to 23, I was breaking out some bangers. I didn't wear anything
Yep.
suede because I think that's where I got to draw the line. So there was no cause for, there was no Jordan 21, university red, but
Yeah.
outside that, I was wearing, leather shoes and just rocking them because I agree with you. It's way more comfortable.
Yeah.
So there's obviously, 2022 finish with a bang, and there's obviously lots on the horizon for 23. But what are some of those sneakers that you're kind of anticipating, looking to either at least see the quality, or actually, it's a for sure cop for you? Maybe you could give us a
Um,
couple that you've got on your radar.
yeah, it's funny because we were kind of chatting, we are shooting messages to each other beforehand, and you mentioned there was like JB, like they announced like 80 pairs or how many ever
Yeah.
pairs that are coming for the new year. It's like there's so many. But I'm kind of okay passing on a lot of them to be honest.
Hmm.
I'm looking at some for sure's for me, or most likely for me, is like the playoff 13s, the cement 3, like a lot of other people,
Yep.
and it's not a Jordan brand shoe, but I'm hearing the Air Max 1 is coming back with the thicker, fatter air
Oh,
bubble.
I didn't even hear about that one, but
Yeah,
that's
so
fire. Don't be
yeah,
surprised
so
if it comes out during Air Max month.
would make sense, right? So
Yeah.
so there's not a lot I have my eyes on, but I'd say like those three pairs probably at the top of my list, and then whatever other surprises that
Yeah.
JB and Nike has up their sleeves,
Because
So
there's always a surprise. There's always they
always.
can leak as much as they want, and then there's going to be something that is another tier or two higher than everything else that they put out.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? I heard it might be a Europe only release, or either way, it's going to be damn near impossible to get. But I was looking at the off-white Air Force One. It's like a gray one.
Oh,
It's like a
yeah.
charcoal gray looking one, and I think that was one of the cleaner looking ones that I've seen.
Yeah.
So
I love the
apparently that's
Brooklyn
supposed to
one.
come out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Brooklyn
Yeah.
one is just, obviously you can't get it unless you want to give up your firstborn, but that one
Yeah.
is fire.
That's the green one, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. They've all been great, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, obviously we cross as we crossed the finish line to 22 and now into 23. If you look back, what would you say are your, now it could be any brand, it doesn't need to necessarily be the Jordan brand or even Nike.
Yeah.
What would you say
Yeah.
that is kind of your top five cops of the year?
Hmm. It was funny, Lionel. I didn't buy a lot of shoes last year. I was
Good
being
for
pretty
you. It's good for
conservative.
the
Yeah.
wallet.
So it's good. Top five. In no order, really. I'd say the Jordan 1 low. Is it the white and peach, the white
Yep.
and pink?
Yep.
The Nocta Air Force One Lost and Found.
Okay.
Um, what else I have on my list? Sorry, Love You Forever, not the Lost and Found. But since I said it already, we'll add the
The
Lost and
lost and
Found in
found.
there.
Yeah, that
Love You
was
Forever Air Force One and the Jordan One Lost and
yeah.
Found. The Tom Sachs shoe, which I mentioned earlier, which has
Yeah.
been in my rotation since it came out, the general purpose shoe, the first color with the royal blue. And my last pickup, my most recent pickup, towards the end of the year, almost New Year's, was the LeBron 20, and I think it's called the debut. It's like a white with it almost looks like a white and black cementy kind of
Yeah, I know that
pattern,
one.
and it has the
That looks maybe the cleanest one. Like I got really excited about the black, and then you saw the purple one, but that
yep,
one it was like, oh, that's the one. Like that just so wearable. I think it may be the best and more probably universal one that you could wear, and I'm sure knowing you're a guy that actually puts those actually on the hardwood, you definitely can get some run in those as well.
exactly, and that's kind of why I bought them. I haven't bought an on
Yeah,
court shoe for a while, so
yeah.
I bought them. I put them on court on Monday, and I love them. Super grippy, super bouncy. So yeah, I'm loving them so far.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to even demo them and put them on and like squeak them up a little bit because I would always do that. Put them in put them on in the stock room and
Yeah,
just seeing how hard they actually will stop.
yeah.
But it's good to hear that that one's grippy because I haven't seen a lot of guys actually put it on. Like there's been many people that have been wearing Giannis's latest shoe. There's a lot of people wearing Curry shoes, and obviously with the success of the Mellow Ball 1, people are wearing the 2, although I don't think it looks
Hmm.
as good, but
Right.
that's kind of some of the shoes that are really are on court favorites on top of the KD 15, which I apparently from a lot of circles is the best shoe that's on the market. It's just a little more pricier than some of the other ones.
Right.
So if we think about, we love to play this segment, we call it this or that. So, think of, call it a genre of a shoe. So not a particular colorway, but I'll
Hmm.
give you two types of shoes and you choose
Okay.
which model that you prefer. So I'm going to throw
Hmm.
out a couple, and I know you're a big Nike guy, so probably will stay in that area, but we'll also probably try to work a couple brands to kind of just get a little
Let's
bit of
do
a
it.
flavor. So
Yeah.
let's go Air Max 90 or Air Max 1.
Go Air Max 1.
Okay. Okay. Good choice. Jordan 3 or Jordan 4?
Oh.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. We got C's
Oh.
eyes rolling.
Oh.
Not exactly
Uh,
sure.
geez. For the sake of time, I'll go 3.
Okay. So then we're gonna go Jordan 1 or Jordan 11. It's just funny you kind of mentioned those ones earlier.
We're going all the ones I was talking about. Yeah. Well, let's go Jordan 1.
Okay. So, a little bit off base of what we just talked about. So in totality, the Griffey line or the Barkley line?
Let's go with the Chuckster.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
going
I
Barkley.
like that choice. Although I
Hmm.
love Griffey, I think I love because they're so different.
Yeah.
I would definitely maybe I would say that the Griffey one is better than all of the other shoes, but I
Hmm.
think as a line, I would go with the Barclays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that we're going to the New Balance realm. So the New Balance 990 or the 2002. That's kind of been like the hot shoe as of late. A lot of people are
Yeah.
wearing. What do you think?
Um, this is a little out of my wheelhouse here, Lionel. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 2002.
Okay, okay, I
Yeah.
like it. I like it.
Yeah.
So let's put we'll finish off and we'll put a couple monsters together. So we'll go Jordan 3 versus Jordan 1.
I'm gonna go with the 3.
Okay, I like it. And then we got white cement coming up. It's probably the most anticipated shoe in the first quarter. Like this is
Yeah.
this is the spring lost and found. If you want
Yeah.
qualification or what that is, there will not be enough pairs. It will be very general from what I hear in terms of pair counts, but there's just not enough people that are going to get this shoe. I
Right.
still remember when it launched. Oh, the last time I think a white cement was 2012 or 13, and it launched at House of Hoops, and we had a
Hmm.
lineup of, oh, I don't know, 150 people for 50 shoes. So
Yeah.
that was no fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I still treasure that one to this day. So okay, so I think that, as we talk about, you didn't buy a lot of shoes, but I think really how shoes are bought has changed so much, particularly in the last 3 years. So the old days, you'd hit Queen Street or Spadina, you'd go to Goodfoot, you'd go to Livestock, you'd hit Groovy on the way, you may pass in by Foot Locker, you hit the Zone as you hit the KFC. But it's so much different now. There's so many options. All these stores have online. You mentioned Soul Savvy before we started recording, and that's
Hmm.
been an amazing gateway. I know people that it's just like, I know you aren't so savvy. Like, does it make sense? Like the amount of information that they provide on
Yep.
how to find sneakers and the exact steps you need to take to ultimately get ahead of some of these bots and get a chance to get your size is it's pretty amazing that the work that they've done for the love of sneakers and the love of, you know, actual people that are not there to resell. They're actually there to buy the shoe so they can wear it is pretty amazing. So that's a whole community on its own. But
Hmm.
how have you, think back to, since 2020, we were in lockdowns 1, 2, and 3, and you couldn't go to a retail store and you had to buy it online, and there was bots
Yeah.
that, really taken off. So how have you consumed shoes in the last few years?
For the last, even going back, I'm thinking about the Jordan 3, the Justin Timberlakes, or like the
Mm-hmm.
Travis Scott 4s, like, because I'm just thinking, because I picked those up at 306.
Yep.
Um, Even back then, looking at 2018, 2019, like years before the pandemic, like it's changed so much that it hasn't been easy. Like, long gone are the days of, being able to pop into a store and get a shoe. It's all camping out, it's all lining up, and it's all raffles, or raffles,
Yep.
right? So I'd say the last couple years, since we can't go in store to line up or to raffle, it's kind of just been trying my luck online, to be honest. And there's certain releases or certain sites that don't really have bot protection, and those are kind of like really impossible to get.
Yep.
But if there's a lot of great, I think there's great companies out there and great brands, like Ama Maniere comes to mind, that they do a real great job in kind of giving people a chance to cop, without bots, just kind of cop manually.
Yep.
So I've been doing that, and crossing my fingers on raffles, because that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not the camp out. I'm not the camp out, sleep overnight,
We're too
or
old for that now.
yeah,
Too
I'm
old.
not doing that. So
Yeah.
it's either win the raffle, get it manually, or maybe pass or see what happens down the
Yeah.
road.
Sometimes it's got to hit the resale market, and it kind of comes down a little bit, and you end up buying it just over retail, and that's what ends up being, right? So
Yep, that's it.
all right. So I think we always love, particularly those that have been in the community a long time, like yourself, a sneaker story. So is there a story, you went on a mission, there's a fun story that's attached to a shoe, or what's a story that maybe you can tell us that, of maybe one of your favorite shoes and why it's so important to you?
Hmm. That's a good one. Wow, this is a tough one. I'm thinking of a few, but this might not be my best one. But here we go. So I remember, I think it was 2006. Maybe Lionel, you can correct me, or one of your viewers eventually will correct this. But I think it was 2006, and it was the release of the DMP, the
Yes, it
Jordan
is.
6
It
to
is
Jordan 11.
2006. It's literally this month. It launched at the end of January is in 2006. It's like really literally before I started dating my wife. Like it
Okay.
happened. We just started dating like 3 weeks later, and I went to
Okay.
Detroit to buy the shoe.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because I was in Detroit to buy the shoe too. So I don't know if I saw you there and we didn't know each other or didn't recognize each other, but I was in Detroit. I don't remember what mall I was in, but I remember I drove down there with my girlfriend at the time, her cousin, and his best friend. So it was four of us. Drove down there. We had a hotel, slept. Then Saturday morning came. This wasn't a camp out situation. It was just kind of a go early as soon as security opens the doors to the mall kind of thing. Got into the mall, lined up at, I don't know whether it was like Finish Line or Foot Action or one of those stores. And 2006 in Detroit, it wasn't even that bad. I wasn't too deep in the line. I was a little worried still. I was far back enough that I was like, I wonder if my 9.5 is still going to be there. It was. I got it. One of the other guys was also a 9.5. I think he had to get a 9 or a different size. And then the third guy there was like 11 or 12 or whatever. So he got his size as well. So we got our pairs. We're happy. Blah, blah, blah. We're like, oh, we're hearing rumblings. When you're in the lines for the campouts or for the lineups in general, you hear people talking. A lot of it's nonsense, but some of it in this situation, you'll see it was like, oh, some of it's actually good information. So I'm hearing rumbling that, oh, one of those random clothing stores, Dr. J, Jimmy Jazz, one of those American, clothing apparel stores, they're like, oh, they're dropping it. They didn't tell anybody, but they're dropping it at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. So we're like, oh my gosh, should we check it out? So we jump in. We have our pair already. We jump in the car. We get over there, and it's one of those weird like standalone locations. It's
Yeah.
not in a mall. It's just in a plaza. We pull up. There's no one in the store. The lights are off. It's dark. There's maybe, I remember we were early in the line, so there was maybe two or three people ahead of us. We get there, and in a sneaker line, generally people, especially when it's a smaller line, not like hundreds, when there's a small line, generally people are a little more friendly, a little more talkative because it's only 5, 6 people. You're all gonna
Yeah.
get it essentially, right? So, anyways, we're like, hey, yo, are they opening soon? Do you know if they got them? They're like, we don't know. We're not sure either. We're just here just in case. So I don't know how long we waited. Maybe let's say half an hour, 45 minutes, something. Car pulls up right in the front. We're like, oh, this has gotta be the employee. This is the manager. They're opening the key holder. They're opening the store. This has gotta be it. They pull up. We're like looking. We're looking, all looking. I think they were in uniform or something, or maybe they had a jacket on. But they went to the door. We're like clapping. We're like, yes. We're like, did you guys get him? Did you guys get him? And then I can't remember if it was a he or she, to be honest. But the employee was like, yeah, we got a few pairs, and we're just like, yes, because at this time there might be only like 8 to 10 people. So we're all like, oh, we're all gonna cook. This is great.
Yeah.
So long story a little less long, we ended up grabbing a second pair of DMPs. We go back, we get pizza, we're at the hotel, we're having fun, we're just relaxing, we're celebrating the win. It's a big win at this point. We got
Huge W.
two
You got two
DMPs
pairs of
at
DMPs.
retail, which was what, 300 at the time or something?
Yeah, 300
Something
US is what it was.
American, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. So, anyways, so we thought it was over, but then when we got to the border, they're like, classic border stuff. It was like, purpose your trip. No, we went to buy shoes. Oh, what's the value of the goods coming back? And we're like, it's like six
1800
six
or 20.
DMPs coming back, right? We ended up paying like, I don't know, I want to say at least 300-ish and 400 in duties amongst us,
Yeah.
or tax or whatever it was, which sucked at the time because being a lot younger at the time is like,
That's a big
that's
blow. That's like a
that's
whole
a lot
shoe,
of
right?
money,
So,
man. Yeah. Anyways, obviously we paid it and we're still happy as hell, but that
yeah.
was kind of a big hit coming back. But yeah, I
That
probably have
that
some
is
better
a
ones.
so much like my story. It's so much like, because I literally, I've talked to Courtney Walters, who runs the sneaker box, and I was recently, made sneakerhead of the month, and I literally told that story, like the same
Mhm,
story. Ours
mhm,
looked a
mhm,
little bit different. So I went with
mhm,
three people that I worked with. We
mhm,
drove to Hamilton. We went to some bar. Courtney worked at the bar. We
mhm,
partied all night. It
mhm,
closed at 2. We drove to the Detroit border. We
Mhm.
crossed. We went, I think it was Fairlane Mall.
Ah, that's it. Fair lane. Yep.
So we probably were there. And so the part that I remember, so we're there's lots of people outside, and we see off in the distance there's another set of doors, and we
Mhm.
watch these two guys. So they're like 200 feet away from us, and we
Yep.
watch them pull every door, and they get to the
Mhm.
last door,
Mhm.
and it opens, and they go in,
Mhm.
and it goes,
Mhm.
oh crap. All of us start running,
Mhm.
and we run, and we were in the mall. So we're in the mall at like 4 or 5 in the morning,
Oh
and we
wow.
all divided, and we all went to different stores. First
Mm.
store I ended up was at Foot Action. It was the first time I ever had seen a Foot Action, because I never, didn't go to Walden Gallery enough to see the one there. So we stood in
Right.
line.
Right.
It's like, come on, I got to get a pair. We were 20 deep because there was already people in the mall before
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, I end up sitting there, sitting there, sitting there. I get my pair.
Mhm.
Then I knew there's other guys that are two of the other guys, because we stayed in pairs. The other guys
Mhm.
went to Foot Locker. So we
Mhm.
went to meet them. For whatever
Mhm.
reason, Foot Locker's line was not as long.
Wow.
So we just stood in the line. It's like, what if we get another one? So we just
Yeah.
waited and waited and waited. And then we're at
Mhm.
the end. We're at the end of the line. So it's like, there's no way. And it's like, hey, you got any 11s left?
Mhm.
And he says, yeah, I got two pair. I took another
Wow.
one. Took
Mhm.
another one. And
Yep.
then I heard, similar to you, I heard rumblings that in the mall finish line, they weren't at the store. So people dispersed, went to Foot Locker, Foot Action, and Champs.
Mhm.
No one was at the lights were off, the whole 9 yards. So we get to the store,
Yeah.
and there's 7 guys, and some people say the guy's not coming. They must not have the shoe. This is why they're opening regular time. Nine
Oh right.
o'clock, 9 o'clock comes, and I have
Mhm.
two pairs in my hand. The
Mhm.
employee shows up.
Mhm.
9:03, the phone rings. Just as
Mhm.
he's getting the register,
Mhm.
it sounds like the DM.
Mhm.
Like it's someone that's in charge. And you could
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
him yelling.
Oh wow.
And he's yelling because all the other stores open at like 8 o'clock to sell the shoes, and
Yeah.
they hadn't sold any.
Why is our register at zero still?
Yeah, so ultimately, so like first the guy starts rushing. He sells the first one, sells the second one. He's still on the
Mm.
phone with the DM.
Yeah.
And then just it's just my nature.
Mm.
I have shoot your shot, and the worst thing can happen is you get told no. I'll ask
Yeah.
almost any question. I'll be
Sure.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
I get told no, no, it's like, hey, can I buy? Because I'm thinking now, because I got mine, I'm good. I'm thinking
Mhm.
about my brother. I'm thinking
Mhm.
about everyone else at home that not reselling. I'm just going to say, hey, give me $400 and you can have one of the ones I have.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
And sure enough, the guy says, can I buy more? And it's like, yeah. And it's like, how many can I buy? The DM hears me, and it's like,
Mm.
sell that guy as many as he wants.
Oh wow.
Uh, I
This is
bought,
crazy.
I bought 8 more pairs and brought them home for
Oh
friends.
wow. You
So
what?
when
Eight
you talk
eight
about
DMP. So you
you,
had 10 then.
I 10 is what I had. I had
That's
another guy had
crazy.
2, another guy had 3, and another guy
Yeah.
had 2. So we
That's
go to the
crazy.
border with like
Yeah.
17 pairs. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
I got 9, because I think my number was 11 when I
Okay.
actually all count. So we go to the border, and like, so you think of 11, so 22 shoes essentially. They're
Mhm.
everywhere. They're in everyone's lap. They're in the
Yeah. Yeah.
trunk. They're stacked up in the middle. They're
You're
at
up
our
to your
feet on the
ears in
floor.
DMPs. Yeah.
So we go to the border, and the guy rolls down the window. It's like, what do you have to declare? It's like $4,400 in shoes.
Yeah.
And he goes, what? Okay, pull over.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
like thought we were smuggling drugs. And it's like, no, 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 no. Like, seriously, look at all the gold boxes that are in the back seat. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you guys are crazy. And it's like, who are these
Yeah. Yeah.
for? It's like, they sold us whatever happened, and these are all for my friends at home that couldn't make the trip.
Yeah.
So one's for this guy. One guy says, like, if Lionel, if you're really going, can you get me a pair? And it's like, I'll see. My boss wanted one, and
Yeah.
another DM from another league that I knew, he
Mhm.
wanted one.
Yeah.
So I was like the Pied Piper of the DMP. So we paid a huge
Wow.
duty.
Yeah.
I think it was like $600-700, but
Yeah, yeah,
but everyone just paid me as part of the duty, and we went
yeah,
home
yeah.
with like 17, 18 pairs of DMPs.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and people couldn't believe it. It's like, Lionel, did you get a pair? It's like, I got two, and I got one for you, and I got one for him, and I got one for
Yeah.
him. So
Yeah.
it was like, people gave me like another $20 or whatever. It literally almost paid for one of my pairs. So it was
Right.
a
Right.
win-win all around.
Amazing.
So yeah, again, Philip, really appreciate you being on. And there's obviously, some great sneaker stories that story is so close to my heart, because when people ask about the DMP, it's like, hold on, take a seat. I got a story to tell you about
Yeah.
that one. But obviously, we're kind of in a really fickle place right now with, call it, the sneaker culture right now. And there's so many different aspects that really didn't exist, even 5 years ago. Reselling is on all-time high.
Hmm.
And I think it's accepted that it's part of the game. I think the retailers
Yeah.
accept that it's part of the game.
Yeah.
I think the customers that can't get the shoe, that know they can go to a resale market, they understand that's part of it. How we have to now buy so many shoes that are online. Unfortunately, there's so many issues now with UPS and other carriers stealing shoes, and like they
Right.
literally Googled the Nike code. It's like, well, I know that's a pair of a box of Jordan 1, lost and founds, and I'm just going to take that. There's so many things that are
Yep.
out there. What are your thoughts on kind of the state of sneakers, and is there something, if you could wave a magic wand, what is something that you would try and change?
Um, I mean, I, I don't know if there's any other way to describe it, but interesting. I mean, if you're over the age of, let's say, 30, 32, if you're 30, 32 and older, then you've lived through the telephone, the dial-up modem, when we just imagine where we'd be now. Like we didn't think growing up, we never thought we would be able to see each other on video and talk on the phone, like
Totally.
have a you know what I mean? So anyways, with that, like we've seen the growth of sneaker culture from, maybe, let's say, maybe 10, 12, 13 years ago was like a subculture, was like, if you collected sneakers, you had more than 5, 10 pairs of sneakers, you had an obsession, you're crazy, or like, you know what I mean? But now it's part of the outfit. Someone who's not really a sneakerhead or not really that into sneakers is going to have 10, 20, 25 pairs easy. Right. So it's interesting because it's grown so much. And with that, to kind of answer the question, to round it out, is like, I'm not surprised where the secondary market has come, where reselling has come. It's just because with the access, it's so easy to get sneakers. Before, it was like you had to pull up to the store and you had to see what they have and you could pick it off a shelf. But now it's like, oh no, this shoe is coming out in 9 months. And then closer to the date, you're going to know exactly which stores are going to have it, which
Mhm.
websites are going to have it. And everything is so kind of drawn out. So, you know, it's no surprise to me that a lot of stuff has gone digital, and with that, it's the good and the bad. It's the ease of buying a shoe from Europe on your couch, but also some some reseller buying 37 pairs at
Yeah.
the same time, right? So it's kind of a give and take. Do I love it? No, it sucks. Obviously, if I just want a pair, I want a pair or two. I don't know if I need 10 pairs, but I need a pair or two of like the cement threes. You know what I
Yep.
mean? But
You need
will
that
I
dead
get
you need
one?
that dead stock. We all need
Will
that
will,
dead stock.
will we get one? We'll see, right, Lionel?
Yeah.
But it's like it's part of the game, and it's something
Yeah.
that I've accepted. You know what I mean? It's just you can't get around it. And again, shout out to sites that kind of do their due diligence and kind of do what they can to stop bots and kind of encourage manual one purchase or two purchases, kind of
Yeah.
keep it low for personal. So shout out to sites like that and communities like we mentioned, Soul Savvy, that kind of help facilitate things like that. But it is what it is. And if I could wave a wand and fix anything, man, I would say, I know resellers have to eat, and that's part of the game, and they're part of, I'm thinking about The Wire, like the dynamic of like the
Yeah,
dealer, the addict, the cop, they all have to exist. They're all good and bad in different ways. So it's like I look at like the retailer, the reseller, the regular consumer is kind of like all kind of play a part. So it's like I
that
guess
is
I
a
would try and
fire analogy.
I would try and limit I would try and limit the reseller. So it's like, okay, you're getting 5 pairs instead of 50.
Yeah,
So it just at least they can still eat, but it also gives regular people
yeah.
like myself a chance to get my cement threes
Totally,
in
totally.
you
But
know.
at the same time, you have to respect the hustle, and because there's a whole lot of legwork that they're doing that
Yeah,
they don't even know if they're actually going to get the shoe, but
yeah,
they put in
yeah,
all this
yeah,
work
yeah.
and get people to line up, and
Mm-hmm,
you got 50 people on a cell phone, and if you have 10 hits, that's big,
mm-hmm,
and I think what's so unique in this era is that the reseller it sometimes is a casual sneaker fan. It is
mm-hmm,
not
mm-hmm.
even interested in sneakers, but they see it as a commodity. And they're so young. Like I've met
Yeah.
resellers that are like 15 and 16 years old.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
There's a couple documentaries that the guy gets his dad to drive him to sneaker con, and he sells his joints, and he's like
mm-hmm.
12, but
Yeah,
he's like
yeah.
he got a shoe, he flipped it, he bought two more, he flipped those, and now his parents just like, hey, this guy, he's learning to earn, like how to the power of a dollar, and they just are there to make sure that he's safe, but he does
Mm-hmm.
his thing. So
Yeah,
it's a whole different era that we're in right now. So it's
yeah,
accepting it and being able to adapt to what it is. Because if you want to love sneakers or you want to cop sneakers, you have to accept it. Because if you don't want to play these rules, it's okay. You just probably ain't going to get anything.
yeah. I was gonna say it's in my experience and kind of just I don't know a lot of resellers personally, but the ones I kind of interact with, whether it's in lines or whether you know what I mean, you see them out and about and you kind of know what they're up to. I feel like a lot of them aren't really sneakerheads, which is fine. Like
Hmm.
they're more about the dollar, which is again
Yeah.
something I can respect to an extent. So
Yeah, definitely. So, hey, Philip, as we wrap up, we obviously know that you have a tremendous, tremendous love for basketball. So, I'm not sure. Maybe you can share. Are you a Raptors fan, or is there another team that you like? And what's kind of your view so far on the NBA season?
yeah, I'm a dedicated lifelong Raptors fan. Um, don't go digging through my tweets and try and prove me otherwise. It's the home team, so I'm a little I don't know. I'm torn right now. It's a tough. The trade deadline's coming up in a month or so, a month
Yeah.
or two. I don't know when the trade deadline is, but Masai and Bobby have some decisions to make. We're not looking great right now. We're looking like maybe we'll squeeze into the play-in, so it's not looking sexy. I'm a lifelong Raptors fan, and Shaq was my favorite player growing up
Okay.
from when he entered the league. Even when Mike was around, Shaq was always my favorite player. Mike was Mike. Mike was always God in the basketball sense, but Shaq was always and still is my favorite player. And then uh, LeBron took over. Bron took over when Shaq kind of was dwindling and playing for every team in the association. And yeah, I'd say I kind of watch the Lakers a lot just because Bron's there,
Yeah.
and plus the history. Again, Shaq was there, of course,
Yeah.
and I have a great deal of respect for Kobe. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally get that, right?
yeah,
I grew up as a diehard Knicks fan. I still
hmm
am, but
yeah,
obviously, I started following the Knicks in '85 when they got Patrick Ewing. So the Raptors didn't
yeah.
exist for another 10 years, and I don't change
That's right.
teams, but I've happily accepted the Raptors as my second favorite team. Now they go head to head, and the Raptors have owned the Knicks in the last 25 games. I think I rolled the stat out for a few of my Knicks fans that
Yeah.
it's the bane of my existence that the home team beats my team on the regular. I think the Knicks are 5-20 against the Raptors in the last 25 games. So they go
It's
head to head twice in the month of January. They play
mhm.
tomorrow
Okay.
on Friday, and I'll be at the game wearing Knicks
Oh,
gear.
sweet.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm looking forward to that one. I'm going with another Knicks fan. So we might
Yeah.
get booed out of the building or we might get laughed out of the building. One of the two is probably going to happen tomorrow.
I was gonna say Toronto fans are pretty compared to I'm thinking like New York fans or Philly
Yeah.
or different American teams. I think
Light.
Toronto
Yeah.
Toronto fans are pretty forgiving and pretty chill. So I think
Yeah.
you guys will be all right.
Yeah. It's funny is there was the Raptors had that unbelievable game. They still came up short, but yesterday against the Bucks,
Uh-huh.
there were a ton of Bucks fans. And I don't know if they're Bucks
Yeah,
fans, they're Giannis fans
absolutely. I saw
that
that.
were
I
downtown
noticed that.
Toronto
Hmm.
on Wednesday. So
Yeah.
Philip, again, as we're wrapping up here, thank you so much for your time. How do people find you on social media? If, obviously, we've had a really good conversation today, but they want to see some of the things that you're doing or some of the shoes that you've been wearing as of late. How do they find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on social at SolePurpose. That's SOLE Purpose. And I have a website, philipdossantos.com. I don't update it too much, but you can kind of see what I've been up to,
Right.
over the last few years. But I'm pretty active on social, so
Okay. Yeah, you
check
said
me there.
Twitter and I've seen definitely some of your Instagram. How did you choose that name? I think it's a great IG handle.
Yeah, so it started off, I started kind of wanting to do like clothing and apparel. This was like 03, 04.
Yeah.
And it's just me because I haven't never really hired anyone else or kind of dedicated that much time. So it was always me, a sole proprietor, and sole as in sneaker sole. And it was just so it kind of worked in with the play of words and kind of how I operated.
Yeah. Pretty dope, pretty dope. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
thank
a
you, man.
keeper. Once you get that name, that's you got to lock it in. So, Philip, thanks so much again. Much appreciated for your time. A great interview, and look forward to sharing it with the listeners again. So you can find it on Spotify. You can definitely find it on Apple, Google. It'll also be available, and then we'll upload the video shortly later this week, and it will be on YouTube as well. But Philip, have a great evening. Thanks so much for your time, and thanks everyone for listening to another amazing episode of Sneaks Rhymes of Life. Catch you all later. Peace.
Peace.